Today's head-on is Bandits Imperil train. Take engine and mail car away, then send them back alone. The subhead-on says, trainmen prevent disaster. They put tie on track to check locomotive speed. A dozen passengers hurt by the shock. This article originally was reported from Spokane, Washington on May 16th. It says, following the holdup of a Great Northern passenger train by 6 bandits between Colbert and Mead last night, 12 persons on the train were injured. The robbers had detached engine and mail car and taken them down the track a considerable distance, where they looted the registered mail. Then reversing the engine, they sent it in the mail car crashing back into the passenger coaches. The conductor saw the wild cars backing down the track at 25 miles an hour, and he and another trainman put a tie on the track, but the cars, though partly stopped by this means, plunged into the coaches. Passengers were thrown from their seats and cut by the glass from broken windows. A trainman sprang aboard the locomotive as the collision occurred and shut off the steam, which stopped the havoc. When the train reached Colbert late last night, there was some switching to be done. While the engine crew was at this work, 2 men sprang into the car, thrust a revolver against the bodies of engineer William Miller and fireman John Hall, and ordered them to do as commanded. The engineer and fireman complied, and the mail car was cut off by 4 other robbers. The locomotive and car then ran up the track a few miles. The engineer and fireman were forced to leave the car, and 2 of the robbers went to the door of the mail car and ordered it opened. Their command was obeyed by Benjamin F. Stump, mail clerk, who was driven away from the cars with the engineman by a dozen revolver shots. Manning the locomotives themselves, the outlaws took the mail car down the track and looted the registered mail. Then they started the locomotive back and escaped. Conductor C.L. Robertson had a brakeman cut in the telegraph wire to send word to Spokane. While he was busy telegraphing about half an hour after the locomotive and the car had disappeared, he saw the powerful engine careering towards the coaches in which many persons were asleep, for the robbers had acted quietly. Many knew nothing of the holdup until awakened by the collision that was only eased by the quick work of the trainmen. As soon as Conductor Robertson realized that a collision was imminent, he called on the brakemen and porters to aid him. While the conductor and another man threw a tie across the track, a brakeman stood ready to board the cab as soon as the shock of the collision checked the impetus of the wild locomotive. The mail car was partly derailed by the tie, and the wheels plowed into the ballast, while the steam impelled the locomotive wheels to whirl on the rails. The brakeman was instantly in the cab, where he seized the throttle and shut off the steam and applied the brakes. Passengers tumbled from seats and jousted into berths, rushed out to ascertain the cause of the shock. None was fatally hurt. 2 special trainloads of deputies were hurried from Spokane, and doctors were taken along to care for the injured. Though it is reported that the bandits obtained a large sum, the amount being placed at $20,000, railroad officers and mail inspectors say the amount is not known. One of the bandits who entered the cab was more than 6 feet tall and evidently an experienced engineer. As the 2 robbers entered the cab, this man said to the engineer, "You have heard of us before," indicating that they had been involved in similar holdups in the vicinity of Spokane within the last few months. T.N. Wilson and his wife of Spokane were the most seriously injured of the passengers. He suffered a fracture of 2 ribs, and Mrs. Wilson was severely bruised. This story comes from the great state of Maryland, being reported in the Baltimore Sun of May 17, 1909. Thank you for joining us today. If you want to continue to uncover all of America's lost and forgotten history, then remember before you leave to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and remember to like and comment below. And we will see you next time on Americana Archives.